I always thought I would stay up to date with songs and people and artists and seeing what's what because just the pop music, the popular people, whatever, and you try to get through that. And the ones at the very tippy top, the Taylor, yeah, forget her name, um,
Taylor
Taylor
Swift.
Taylor
Swift.
Swift. Yeah, no, I know it. It
That
was
was so
I
great.
was I was too great of a line to pass up on what
Taylor,
I was
what's her
saying.
name?
Yeah, Taylor, what's her name? Taylor Swift. Sorry.
You're listening to Like Father, Like Sons.
Though I do wish I had just hit recording right when you were
Just
giving friendly
before that, yeah, that
instructions.
would yes, yeah.
Yeah, that would have been perfect.
Unfortunately, nobody would have seen that, so that's okay.
No, it would have just been a silly thing.
That's a silly thing that you would have put at the beginning, knowing you. Hello, boys. How are you? Good to see you all.
Hello,
See
Father.
you both, not see you all. There's only two here. It's not a cast of thousands.
That's true.
But is it technically wrong? It is all of us. It is all two of us.
But you
Yes.
all is technically singular.
You all is technically Southern, so that's okay.
It would be all you all would be is plural in Southern speak.
It's like you have a master's degree in the English language almost of some kind, in some kind of communication.
All you all? Okay. All right. Hello,
Well,
boys. How are
all you
you?
all, to be honestly.
Well, all you all podcast listeners, welcome to our new episode of Like Father, Like Sons. I want to just roll that out there before we start talking about our week. I'm Carter Fox. Alongside is my big brother, Brent Fox, and my loving and wonderful father, hi, Dad, Glenn
Somebody
Fox.
somebody must need something.
Well, that'll be after the podcast. Don't worry. I'm not. You don't put that in writing. You don't put that in recording. Don't worry about it.
Hello, guys. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. Had
Yeah.
a weird night, but we're here.
Why? What happened?
Oh, I just fell asleep on the couch. I talk about that all the time. It was 3 a.m. It was midnight, then it was 3 a.m. and then I was laying in my own bed and it was 7 a.m. and I didn't know if I even slept. I don't know. Just one of those nights.
Well, if you go from 3 to 7, I think you slept in between.
It's true. It's
Chances are good you fell asleep, and if you saw it at 3 and then didn't see it again till 7, chances are good you had 4 hours in between. Last time I did my math, we'll use my fingers to figure that out, but I think that's 4 hours.
well, I don't have four accounting degrees, so I'm just going to no, I had my cat sleeping on me and it just adds a whole, they're pressure blankets, right? They're weighted blankets. It's wonderful. Just woke up tired. It's one of those days, ready to hit the grind, ready to get things going. How are
Mhm.
you?
Well, other than having computer issues this morning, but luckily we were able to get solved relatively quickly. Uh, and I thought I had it solved myself, and actually the advice I got was something that I had already tried and didn't work when I did it, but when the tech told me to do it, it worked. So I didn't care at that point. But yes, it came back, and here we are. So it was good. But i- interesting week or couple of days since our last podcast, a couple of weeks, I guess, a week and a half since our last get together this way. But we'll go through it if we can.
We should. We should, brother. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Just trying to keep the old place cool here in this extreme heat.
Yeah, what's the temperature right there right now to you?
I think it's maybe in the mid 80s, closer to 90, but it's not. Let's just say it doesn't feel the most comfortable outside.
Now we've been getting a bunch of storms, right? The country has, but where Dad and I kind of are in the Northeast more than you are, more Northeast. I think. Have you been getting all those storms coming through?
Not the ones that you've been getting, but I know we had one where I was in my room. It had gotten really dark, so I went into my room And suddenly I hear these loud thumps on the roof, and I'm on the third floor. I'm on the top floor of the building. So I'm like, okay, that's not somebody walking on there, I hope. Nope, I look outside, hail the size of golf balls is just raining down outside. It stopped within a few minutes, but then it was just pouring sheets of rain. It was pretty nasty as far as, weather goes. And, I've not seen golf ball size hail in a long time.
I had some hail, not these past storms, but a little bit ago, and that surprised me. They were definitely quarter sized. But yeah, we've been getting severe storms and stuff. And today I went outside, it was 75 degrees. It's been cooler, actually. I don't know about that, but maybe about you, Brent, but it actually felt cooler today for the summer. But I'm happy with it. I'll take the sweat. I like going outside and sweating.
I did have something kind of funny happen yesterday when I was going out to check the mail. It was about 5 o'clock and it had gotten cooler. I look across and where I am, I mean, it's not a wooded area, but there are a lot of trees and a lot of open fields. There's two deer. It's literally just across the parking lot from me, a mother and a fawn. The fawn looks at me and I'm waving at it, saying hello. I'm actually saying the mother, she just didn't even turn her head to me. I'm like, okay. Then at that point, I said, I don't want these two to come rushing me at this point because I don't know. You don't realize how big deer are unless you're really close to them because they always look small. But these are some pretty, nice sized deer. And I'm like, I'm going inside. I do not want these things chasing me.
You don't realize how big deer are until they either are standing in front of you while you're driving or charging you in your car. I had that experience many years ago, I guess it was now, several years ago, where it was about quarter to midnight, quarter to 12. I was driving on a road, and all of a sudden, and it was fairly dark, but it was a fairly good sized road. It was a 4-lane road, so it wasn't small. And all of a sudden, about 10 or 20 feet, probably 20, 25 feet in front of me, I see the proverbial deer in the headlights, if you will. And I couldn't stop. I hit the brake as much as I could, and then I hit the deer, unfortunately.
Wait,
But
so was it proverbial or literal?
I guess it was literal. Sorry. I guess you're right.
It wasn't metaphorical
It
there.
wasn't metaphorical. It was deer in the headlights. It was real. It was literal. And he got up and walked away. She got up, excuse me. I guess it was a she. She got up and walked away, as far as I know. We couldn't find the deer at that point. My car had all kinds of damage to it. With that, I'm stopped in the middle of the road, and some car comes up and hits me from the rear, so it was even better. But yeah, you don't want to be near deer. They're not usually aggressive. They're not usually dangerous, if you will, as some animals are. But you still don't want to be near them. You still don't want to be near them if they charge because they are strong. They are very strong, and they will protect the babies, if you will. So they have. You talk about mama bears being dangerous and bad. Deer are the same way. Yeah, there's a deer. There's a deer in the headlights. That's a deer.
I can't. This is the longest she'll let me hold her. Oh, she's going away.
He's going. There you
She
go.
meowed at me. She's like, "Hey, my cat." Well,
Yeah.
speaking of something Brent did and cats, actually, you were talking about waving at the deer. Has this ever happened to either of you? And this could have been a while ago, because I live in the city, and so I walk around. I see animals. I see the cats in the windows and stuff, and I have a habit of waving at them too, just like you were mentioning, Brent. I'll be like, "Oh, hey, cat, hello." And sometimes I'm not paying attention to like beyond the animal, so I'm like, "Oh, there's a cat in the window," and then I like look up, and the owner is also right in the window, just like, "Oh, hi," and I'm just like, "Oh, hello, cute cat," and and I have to make that kind of thing. So I also communicate with the animals like that, but. I do love seeing the deer if you go to the mountains or kind of thing, and having the separation when you're on a deck or something. That's kind of the comfort zone for me.
Yeah. Usually, I don't want to see. I'll look. I'll see the deer. I don't want to see the bear.
Yeah.
That usually works well, or not well if you're near that. So that was it. But I agree with you on the rain. It's been a little crazy this time of year. We've had some storms and heavy rain, nothing like they've had in other parts of the country, nothing like the floods going on in southern part of the country, Texas and what have you, where devastation has taken place, obviously, real devastation. 100, I think last count I heard was more than 100 people perished in the flood. So that is it is absolutely terrible, frankly, I guess is the best word I could use and think of at that second to describe that. I just, you don't realize it. And just listening to some of the reports, how the floodwaters came up so quickly, that people didn't have time to get out of this, and it just took them away. In 5 minutes, the water rose so high that there was nothing that people could do. And it was terrible that those types of things took place or could take place. But it shows you the wonders of nature and how that works, because God send of that, regardless of what you believe or don't believe, in the change in the weather, in the climate and weather patterns. Just those types of devastation, that type of devastation that can take place. It's shocking, if you will. I was going to say
Yeah.
awe-inspiring, but it's not inspiring at all. It's shocking.
I mean, it's shocking. It's tragic. Our hearts go out to everyone affected and involved with the tragedies going down in the South and all the kind of things going on. It's a horrible loss of life. It's Mother Nature. You can't fight it really. No matter what we've tried to do, so many ways to mitigate things. That's that powerful natural force, and it's just sad for all the families. My heart goes out to everyone.
Yeah, agreed.
And thank you to all the people who were heroes during that time too. You hear those stories of those young people, old people, everybody, and the first responders, and just people doing the best they can. It's what we have to do as a society, as humanity, right? We got to come together, not push apart.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, on that note, they always say you talk about weather when you're trying to meet someone new, and how about that heat out there? But other than that, how was the weeks? How did you guys do this week? What was going on, and what was happening?
Well, I have some exciting stuff coming up next week where I have a new album coming out called Physics of the Impossible, drops on July 17th. So hopefully, whenever this episode actually drops, you can go check that out by me. So this week and the last few weeks have been a lot of preparation for that. My radio and publicity campaign just launched. So far, that's really exciting. One of my songs has gotten on 100 different stations leading up to this so far. Just as a build up to it, it's just really exciting for me as an artist to see this kind of thing come to such a fruition. I'm also playing, and I'm not trying to say so much, but I keep doing it. Uh, Next weekend, almost in celebration of the album, I'm playing this really cool music festival that I've also been in rehearsals for. So I'm a musician. You got to practice. It's very important. Practice at home, rehearse with your band, rehearses prepping for the show. Just Brent knows that, a little different. So this music festival that's happening is really exciting. It's called Moon Groove. It's my fourth time playing, and I'm a headliner this year, which is exciting. My name's in big letters on the advertisements, and the fun part is that I'm burying the lead. The lead here is it's a naturist is what they call it, music festival, music and arts festival, and that means clothing's optional. And I put the pause in there. Yeah, everyone's reacting like, wow, no. It's actually a great time. The people are amazing. It's an amazing community. It's actually held on a nudist reserve. So that's kind of like the basis of it. And if you do want to come out, come out. It's the weekend, July 19th, 20th, 18th. Moongroovefestival.com or moongroove.com. Just Google it, check it out. And just be prepared. It's not 50-50. It's definitely like 85-90% nudie. So it's a really fun experience to get ready to. And then before I'm going to I wanted to hear about, some Brent stuff. I actually had a Brent-like experience yesterday, I have to say, where in promotion of my books, right? I have a bunch of books for music artists and I just write some more stuff. I was on a TV and radio interview live, this station KFYR or KLYR, something out in North Dakota, and it was really cool. And I, it's just a really cool experience. And Brent, who has a history in television and radio broadcasters and writing, aren't you just in everything? Aren't you just literally almost just a journalist by definition? You can do anything.
Pretty much, yeah. I've done print, I've done web, I've done radio, I've done television. I've run the gamut of anything that's journalistic or broadcast, you name it, I have done it.
And now you're doing podcasts. Now you're really getting in there.
Yeah, that's the other one. That was the one I didn't do. I worked with, but I didn't do much of until recently, was podcasting.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of them over the last year. I mean, as a musician, you do a lot of promotion channels, but for this book series I've released, and it's been a cool experience. And I've been starting to do more live stuff, which I'm used to as a musician, but for some reason, not as like, hey, I'm being interviewed, I'm on the radio, I'm doing this. Even this podcast thing, which kind of is quote unquote more live than not. We don't chop it up that much. We kind of just take it and put it out. I I kind of just get in a different zone, and it just made me respect you a little more for what you do. Which every time I walk into a situation involving like legal stuff, you're learning more about things that my father experienced, business stuff, a lot of different experiences. The more media related stuff, writing stuff, press stuff, broadcast. I'm like, wow, Brent, you do some amazing stuff. Dad, you forgot more than I'll ever know about everything you do. I know that. You tell that to me all the time. And to be honest, I get it because I forget more of what I know just by just by living life.
Well, that's how you gain experience. I mean, I think, and I never thought it quite like this, but you're right. And I've kidded you and said, I've forgotten more, fill in the blank, forgotten more law than you'll know because that's what I've done for more years than you've been alive, probably almost double what you've been alive, I guess. No, I've lived more than double. I haven't been practicing law that long. I'd be 119 or something like that. But the idea is you gain experience and many things that you may have learned early on or a year ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago, it's put to the side. I don't think it ever disappears out of your head. It just goes into a different shelf and you've got to try to recall it somewhere in the library somewhere along the line. But that's you learn the older you get, the more you understand that, the more you understand that there are things that you learned years ago that you may not remember. You forgot them, frankly. And that's all part and parcel of this. And that's just the way it goes.
It's so interesting, and I get asked that a lot, if you will, with the book with marketing. When I'm talking to things as a quote unquote expert, for some reason people will be like, "Carter, you're a marketing expert." Oh, well, yes, I've written many books, but I've helped many artists. They're like, "How do you?" It still makes me feel weird. It's that imposter syndrome. How they ask, how do you deal with the changes that happen so frequently, and especially in marketing, especially in technology, and especially in the music business. But there's still core stuff, and I'm sure it's true for both the journalism world, the law world, certainly the the more stoic worlds. But I do know firsthand as well in the manufacturing kind of quick pace worlds, things do remain the same as they change so much. So like there's a core component of things you'll know and constantly be working with and grow and develop to that strength and it's all that other stuff you need to constantly refresh or be up to date with. And as I'm updating my book now, one of my music business basics books, I'm like, I'm halfway done doing the update, and I'm like, do I have to wait? Because so many things again are changing so quickly in the midst of the summer in the music market, in the music marketing business. It's just very cool, very cool. But yeah, I do feel that sometimes where I'm like, I forgot. And especially with music, I'll forget how many songs I've learned in my life, right? Like, you just forget. But you also can reference things. I had a great law professor who let you take open book tests. Now we weren't law students, right? We were undergrad, but it was a law class, and he's like, look, lawyers reference the materials. They have the books. They look up the precedents. They do all that. They're not doing it all from memory. That's insane. So yes, open your book, reference your material.
Can I give you one story, law school story along that line?
I don't know.
And
Can you?
I think I can. May I give you that, I guess? Thank you
Well,
very
you
much.
can. Not me. I'm your son. I'm not going to tell you.
Yes. May I do that? The the longest exam I ever had in law school, as far as time provided to us that we needed to do, was 4.5 hours long, 4.5 hour exam. And had all of the questions to no, I'm sorry. We had the fact pattern given to us, not the questions. We had the fact pattern provided to us before the exam. So we had the fact patterns that were going on, and we had to write, and I don't remember how many questions there were, but there were a number of questions about the fact pattern, who could sue whom for what. This was a contracts class. And I just remember that I said, "How are we ever going to use 4.5 hours to do this? And how do you go through this? And then how does the professor mark this? Because look at it from the other side. We do a lot of the things here. We talk about that. Well, this is how we saw it. This is how I saw it. And going back to you guys, this is how you saw it from your perspective. So I look at this from the teacher's perspective as I got older, and I never thought about this, but earlier, to say, how do you mark an exam that's 4.5 hours long, and you have, I don't know how many students were, excuse me, how many students were in the class, but you got to mark this. And it was, I don't know how many books I filled up, the composition books I filled up at the time. No typewriters, no computers, no anything. You had to write, you had to write it out. So you had to go through it. And I am convinced that the teacher looked at various things as you went through it, more of your style, more of the way you answered the question, as far as format and writing style, and even punctuation, and even everything else under the sun that comes along that you don't even think about, that you said, well, the teacher's only looking for the answer. Well, the answer comes in many portions, in many ways. And how do you convince the person on the other side, that, or the judge, how you're right and the other person is wrong? It just makes it's just an interesting dynamic, if you will, as you're looking at that story, to go through for things, as you said, you're looking at and trying to figure out what it should be. And so that I go back to that example to say, this was 4.5 hours. We had a lot of the fact pattern. We could figure out what we were going to do. We could almost write it. You could almost figure out what the questions were going to be based on the fact pattern. But you still had to work it and make sure that you got the right answer. Again, there were no right answers, because you could take either side and have to do the argument, and your answer was, how do you argue on behalf of your client in order to move forward? Because otherwise, you're not going to be in court. If a decision was black and white, and this is something you learn early on, if a decision is black and white on what the answer is, then there's no way you're even going to get to court. You're going to settle and figure out how to get it done.
Well, that's a good lesson right there too.
Oh yeah.
But you know what? You know what your story reminded me of, and what I thought that was going to actually lead to as well. Brett, maybe you remember these tests from school, but you just made me remember something from, and gasp with me, second grade. Second grade. I was in math class, and I was one of those kids. I was faster than correct, even though I was very smart and I was doing a lot. I was in, top of the class kind of stuff. I was going through really fast. One day, the teacher gave out a test to the class, and I know this is not just in math. There's other people who probably did this. I'm sure, Brent, you did this, and you you're making me laugh now. It's like a lot of words. You read the paragraph, you go through it, and as you're reading it, it's like, stand up, do this, clap your hand, put your pencil this way, and it has all this. Do this problem, do this, and at the very end, it says, "All right, now that you read all this, don't do anything. Just sit here and wait for your teacher to tell you you're done. Don't do anything. Just sit here and wait. And the lesson of that test is read the instructions first, right? All the way through. That's what that whole lesson was. But man, I just remember me and another friend of mine in that class, Pat, we were the two kids like we got to be done first. We have to be we got to be the quickest. So we were just doing it up and down, stupid, yelling at each other, yelling at the class. And then we got to the last thing and we're just like, well, I guess we need to read the instructions all the way through. Make sure we're doing the right thing.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Yeah.
That's good advice. Read everything. I don't want to tell you how many times when you get to the end of the instructions and it basically says April Fools and therefore, you go in a different direction. So very interesting.
Yeah, or dangerous because the lesson becomes, don't just ignore the directions anyway. Do your own thing. I don't know. That's the thing. Go make
Yeah.
your own IKEA furniture.
Yes, exactly. And have 15 parts left over,
Yeah,
pieces left over.
and you're like, these look like structural components. These look like things that should be holding up the thing I'm sitting on now, or that my brand new fancy television is sitting on. Right? Like, please tell me. Please, why don't you just help me with this in English? I
That brings up the story of you guys putting things together, whether here or for both of you when you're both in the same room, and how different you both are in going through this. Brent looking at all of the instructions and reading it and figuring out how to do it, and Carter saying, "Instructions? We don't need no stinking instructions."
Whoa, wait a minute. I thought you were gonna say I was the good one.
No, you're the one who had to put everything together twice.
Oh,
You had to, 'cause you put it together once, realized it was backwards, and had to take it apart to put it back together the right way. All because you're like, oh, this is how it looks in the instructions. I'm just going to make it this way.
yeah. I was gonna conclude my last story with I wish I learned the lesson from the second grade thing in second grade, but apparently it's obvious that I did not. And you know what? Are you talking about the TV stand in the mountain house, the ones from our rooms? Because I specifically remember that when I
Of
was
course.
Yes, you
doing
put it together
course.
backwards.
I think it was 3 times.
Yeah, at one point, the first time at least, you put it together backwards. You're like, oh, I have to take this apart and put it back together again.
And that's like a little frustrating, but like shame on me, right? Like oh, okay, mistake. And then I had to do it again because I did the same thing. It wasn't as backward, but it was still wrong. Like the thing was upside down backwards. And I'm just like, Brent, read the instructions. That's the lesson here. Read the instructions, my friends. Read them. And it's ironic because I wrote an instructional book series for releasing and promoting your music, right? I've read it all the way through. I learned that lesson.
Yeah. All right, what else is going on?
Well, I had something kind of funny happen to me in the last week or so. Excuse me. Have you ever had someone tell you that a song or a movie it makes you they think of you every time they either listen or watch it?
I have, but I don't know if it's appropriate for the podcast with my father in it.
So I had a situation. A friend who you both know, Cassandra. She texts me. Just from some context. She teaches a spinning class multiple times a week out in Los Angeles, and she tells me I played Gangnam Style in my class today, and it always reminds me of you because of how much fun always would have with that song. And I mean, because that song came out when we were back when I was in grad school. It was a big hit from Psy, and Psy's still making music today. I mean, he's a Korean
Huge.
pop artist. He's huge, and I just thought it was so funny because I'm like,
Just so you know, and this is what really makes me feel old, and I want to get back to your story. I have no idea who you're talking about. Not the artist, not Cassandra. I know who that is.
Do you know the song?
But the song or the song.
Gangnam Style.
It was literally everywhere.
Go ahead,
That song
Brian.
was everywhere for I don't know how long. Like South Park did a whole bit where everybody for Halloween was dressing up as Psy, but they didn't call him Psy. They just said, "Oh, they're dressed up as Gangnam Style," which is not the name of the person. That's
But
the name of the
that's what
song.
everyone would refer to that as. I'm sure they'd be like, "Oh, that guy, that's Gangnam." Like that's real American ignorance. That's real
Right, and it was like
fandom
a huge.
ignorance.
That song was a huge deal because it made like it was like the first music video on YouTube to ever hit 1 billion views, and it did it in like 2 weeks or something like that.
Right, we'll finish the story.
I
We'll
could see
finish the
you rocking
story.
a
Oh, I was
cosplay
just,
of him, but go
it
ahead.
was
Yes.
again, it was like one of those situations of I had no idea. Like she said, it would always remind me of just all the fun we used to have. We would dance to that song, we would do whatever, and it was just I'm like, oh well, cool. I mean, I love that song. I still love it to this day. I had no idea that it would always remind someone of me. Who knew?
I guess you
Interesting.
should make that your ringtone now.
Yeah, that's
I think that should be your Halloween costume. Honestly, just like it's funny because like just put the sunglasses on and slick your hair back and put on the suit, and I'm like, yeah, you could totally go and rock some of that. That'd be fun.
I mean, if you want an idea, he's so big. I mean, just did a huge spring tour, and Rose from Blackpink had her. She actually made a surprise appearance to do her song "Apate," which she did with Bruno Mars, which was also a huge song this year. But again, Dad, you might not know this song.
do not know this song. No Bruno. The only thing in what you just said that I know was Bruno Mars. And that's only because he was on the Super Bowl several years ago. So thanks for making me feel as old as I am. Thank you very much for doing that. But that's okay. I don't mind.
So that was like the
That's okay.
reverse. That was the reverse of when like old heads are like, yeah, you don't know who the Grateful Dead is. Like,
Yes,
you
yeah.
never heard these songs.
Well, real quick and just to get through there, the I always thought I would stay up to date with songs and people and artists and see what's what because just the pop music, the popular people, whatever, and you try to get through that. And the ones at the very tippy top, the Taylor, yeah, forgot her name.
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift. Yeah, no, I know it.
That was so great.
I was too great of a line to pass up on what I was
what's her
saying.
name?
Yeah, Taylor, what's her name? Taylor Swift. Sorry about that. Yeah, but anyway, I always said I was there. But there are names that come out that I have no clue who these people are, and I said it's just the factor of getting old and keeping the different music there. So okay, guys, every time you guys talk about those things and I have no idea who those people are, it's okay. I can tell the difference. Here we go. All right.
Do you kind of know when that quote unquote sort of started happening for you when you went from like was it when you had kids and you're like, oh, I'm not or that quote unquote growing up moment where you're like, I don't know everyone who's not, I don't know the top 10 anymore. I know the top two.
I think that happens when your kids are old enough to start listening to music themselves, and they're listening to the people that are at the top those days. Those 50 or 100 people, or groups or artists that are there that are the top of the list at any particular time, and those come into your life when your kids are listening to that, when your children are listening to that music. So 10, 12, I guess 14, teenagers, preteens, early on. And then you get to the point where I'm gonna continue to know who they are. And at some point you just go, no, forget it. It's not gonna happen. And they're gonna have their music, quote unquote. You're gonna have your music. Somewhere in the middle, there's a couple of artists that overlap, and you just go from there. But it's no different than when I was a kid and the people came on, and the artists that are now on the senior tour, if you will, are the ones that my parents would go, I don't know who you're talking about or what they may be or what have you, not hear the music. So it's just generational. I don't think that'll ever change. And I think hopefully it never changes. And I think that's just the way it works.
I can see that because yeah, when growing up, you were the jazz guy
Right.
for us. Mom kind of had the soft pop rock, B101. And then I'm going to proudly admit that yeah, I'm already at the stage where I'm like, who? And
Yeah.
I'm a musician and I'm a pro musician and I'm just like, wait, who is that? So I'm trying to keep up actively, but I give Brent the kudos. He always has been the more global listener. He always has had more ears on everything. He's probably the one who'd been just like the sentence he said, just like that whole story. Like, yeah, I know who they are, but yeah, I understand that.
Well, it's like I always said in the 2010s, there seemed to be like a trend of teen boy bands. And I don't mean like not like One Direction, not the Backstreet Boys or NSYNC. I mean like teen boys playing actual instruments. Like, and they all pretty much sounded the same. The only one I even remember is 5 Seconds of Summer because they had one big hit. And other than that, there was a bunch, and there were a couple others. They all kind of sounded the same. They all just kind of disappeared all at the same time too.
Yeah, well, that kind of, and we don't have to go into it, but that's kind of gets into music business and commoditization and like trying to turn out bands as a product, if you will. And that's why there's a lot of stuff that sounds the same. And because back in the 80s and the 70s, stuff was way more expensive in the 90s than producing music and all that kind of creative stuff now and every all those kind of aspects. And yeah, I'm like that, Brent, where I'm like, who's that? But when stuff really catches, that's the thing. And that's really generational. That can be cross generational, excuse me. That can go all over the places.
And it seems with the proliferation of the internet and different services and YouTube and all these other areas that people are now getting, it's been a while, but artists get directly to the fans, and the best ones, and that includes the Taylor Swifts of the world, have see, I got her name right this time. They have that direct contact where when I was growing up, it was the record companies that had to be the ones that put the artists over, if you will, because they're the only ones who had the direct contact into the distribution of the music and how that all worked and where that all went. That's why the music business is, and I don't have to tell Carter or Brent, but Carter's in the middle of it. From my perspective, that's how the music has really changed in the last 30 years, Carter, 20 years, something like that, where that distribution now is groundswell. It comes from the people as opposed to coming from the record companies. And I guess that's the change of music that everybody is fearful of and doesn't understand. It doesn't know how it's going to work, and it seems to be working fine. There's still plenty of music out there.
Exactly. Good stuff continues to reach good people.
Yeah.
Good music.
And good music continues to be generated by good people. I guess
that's of all different kinds, all different genres. That's the thing. There's so much great music out there and so many people wanting to listen to it. And that's what's beautiful about it. So we got about a minute, guys. Do you want to wrap it up?
Yeah. Any parting words for the cause? I mean, I think this week's been a little bit, slow, crazy, whatever it is. But I think the weather has taken precedence over a lot of stuff and keeping things going. Other than that, I think it's been a decent time so far, and we keep moving forward.
All right. Well, Brent, anything to say as we wrap up?
Just try to stay cool out there and or stay dry when the rain moves in.
Wise words. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for tuning in to Like Father, Like Sons. On behalf of Big Brother Brent, Papa Glenn, I'm Carter Fox. We'll catch you next time.
You've been listening to Like Father, Like Son, sometimes featuring Brent.